3524, an ordinance amending ordinance 1141, ordinance 2439, and ordinance 3963 of the city of Anderson, Madison County, Indiana, with respect to a change in the zone map as to certain real estate within the city of Anderson as herein particularly described. This is 22 West 29th Street.
Madam President, council members, I'd like to ask first off that any of these three people are here. Thomas Hubbard, Richard Brown.
And Richard Brown's not.
Amanda?
Amanda, she didn't make it tonight.
Okay. One of your requirements was for the owner to be here tonight. This is the Waco station at Brown, and the owner is here to answer any related questions about this site. This property is located, this is again ordinance 3524. Property is located at 224 West 29th Street. I recognize it as the old Waco gas station. It's been there for years. The area in gold, northwest corner of Brown and West 29th Street, directly north of Treasure Point. Owners are seeking to rezone this from R3. I know it seems strange that a former gas station, now auto repair shop, and used to be Rick's Mother. How can those uses be in R3? Back in the 60s, and it's remained that way all these years. Petitioner is stepping forward to make some improvements to the property, but you cannot change or amend, modify a lawful non-conforming use, add on to a lawful non-conforming use. You would have to get it to a proper zone class, so that's what the petitioner has decided to do. He is asking to rezone the gas station property from R3, which again it's been R3 since '63, or maybe earlier than that. He'd like to rezone it to B2 general business. First reading did pass council last month by a vote of 6-1. Stipulation was the owner would show up tonight to answer some pointed questions about his plans for the future for this site. As I said, this is an old gas station, also uses an auto repair shop, a few other things. I think the site, or the owners would like to upgrade this site and install a used car lot, but again, it's considered a lawful non-conforming use, so you can't expand a lawful non-conforming use. So he took the next step of rezoning it to a proper zone class, which would then allow him to take the proper steps to go through the Board of Zoning Appeals, to ask for a special exception, possibly to amend this site into a used car lot. It'd be a small car lot, but a used car lot. This property does contain 0.293 of an acre. It has concrete and brick building around it. There is some asphalt and concrete paved areas, and then there's some stone areas. And I'll have the owner speak to the issue of whether there's gas tanks underground on this property or not. There's some disturbed area where there's crushed stone. I'm guessing that's where the tanks were pulled some years ago. The Waco site is surrounded on all sides by R3. Again, lawful non-conforming use. Around it as well, the Treasure Point is considered a lawful non-conforming use, even though it is a business. There's an electrician's shop, I believe, to the east across Brown Street, also zoned R3. There's a karate shop as well that is zoned R3. So surrounded on all sides by lawful non-conforming uses, R3 residential zone class. To the south, or further south, is B2, which is the Countryside Manor Nursing Home. To the southeast is a Mexican restaurant. I couldn't begin to pronounce the name of it, but it is zoned B1. Comp plan does show this Waco gas station site is traditional residential. Obviously, it's not. It's always been a gas station since its inception, so it would be considered in conflict with the city comprehensive plan. Staff recommended approval for this rezoning from R3 to B2 because of the following. It would place this property in a proper commercial zone class, thus giving the owners kind of a peace of mind, knowing the site is legally zoned for a potential or future business use other than what has been used while it's been a lawful non-conforming use. Also, there are other uses, as I mentioned, the nursing home, the Mexican restaurant, the electrician shop, and also the karate shop and Treasure Point. Also, by approving this rezoning, it will allow the auto repair shop to take the necessary steps to gain approval, potentially going before the Board of Zoning Appeals for a used car lot. Your first reading last month approved this proposed rezoning 7 to zip, and with the stipulation the owner would show up to answer any questions. Which one are you? Are you Hubbard?
I'm Hubbard.
Okay, come on up.
Okay.
Give your name and address.
Hi, my name is Thomas Hubbard. The address is 206 Marine Drive, or 224 West 29th Street.
Dylan, anything, expound on anything that I brought up or anything additional you'd like to say about this site and why you're anxious to get it rezoned and what are your future plans for the site?
Well, you can look around and see it's a lot. It's been cleaned out. We've done a lot of different work to make the place look nicer as opposed to the junkyard it looked like for the last 20 years sitting across the, sitting right there. We have some plans for some signage. We've already taken steps to remodel the indoors. We've done epoxy floors. We've painted. It did look, there was some problems with the plumbing that we remodeled. There were some problems with the gas lines that we fixed. There was just junk everywhere. We took all that out of there. We plan on reciting towards the you can see before with all the crap they had up there. We plan on just cleaning it up, keeping it clean. We're going to fix the fence. There was a little bit of, I guess you'd call vandalism, so there's a little bit of problem that we have with people with the fence. So we plan on fixing that, getting some signage in the yard, continuing to maintain the landscape. I mean, it already looks a lot better, and it's consistently been run as a business, not as a home or residential, obviously, and that's just been stuck there for a while. We've already done quite a bit of repairs. We're going to put some paint around, anything to spruce it up a little bit, some signage, but for the most part, it's pretty close to where we need it to be, I believe, except for just the zoning.
Questions?
Yes. Thanks for coming up.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for what you're doing there. Here's my question.
Appreciate it.
And I have some problem with these kinds of things.
I get it.
How do we know? How can we assure those neighbors? You actually made my point for me. Actually, I appreciate your pictures. Because it did look like that for 20 years.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I
Or
know.
worse.
I know. There was a guy named Bob that ran it over there, and there's just been people in and out of that place.
I know.
You
That's
can
part
see
of the problem.
for years we've been remodeling. I mean, what's the chances of it going from nice just to trashy after it's already a big deal with the community? So the security there would be. I have no reason to do that, but
No, I don't worry about security. But I do look at what something like that does to the effect on the homes in the area.
Oh, absolutely.
And we have this all over town.
Oh,
we
I
have
get it.
abandoned gasoline. I mean, in the 60s, we built gasoline stations on every corner. And today, a lot of them empty. And the same thing has happened. You take a look at the former swimming pool store down Brown Street.
Oh, Brown
the railroad
Road,
track.
yeah.
I can't remember that fellow's name.
I don't know.
He was an excellent painter. And we have it, 23 and Meridian, 23rd Meridian, same type thing. And,
It's all over.
Well, it is all over, and that is the new neighborhood. Now you make a very good presentation.
Thank you.
Yes, and my inclination after listening to you is to go along with your program.
Thank you.
But I want to be sure that I think it's a blight on the whole community.
It really
In the
is.
neighborhoods, they're all over the place.
Yeah, and I mean, I've owned it for 3 years, and you can see, I mean, even, like they just mentioned that he's been standing, putting his foot out to help. Why are you helping? You're not helping all these other. Well, he can see, anyone with eyes can see that we've taken good care of it. We've cleaned it up, we've remodeled it, we're taking steps, so I don't think
I'm not concerned about you. But when you decide you need a bigger place and you're going to move to Broadway, and you sell the property, it'll be another business similar to this, in all probability, because it's already zoned.
Well, when I retire, which probably won't be more than 10 years,
You got
I plan
a lot to
on
go.
leasing it, and I'll make signs and stuff because I don't want it to be trashy. I look at these property, like something like this would be residual income as I retire. So it's not gonna get sold, just to give you a little peace of mind, and you know.
You never know.
You never know.
You know, I used to live in a big apartment house across the street behind the Mexican restaurant. That looks
Okay.
terrible today.
Oh, that house, that,
As a very young kid, I lived there. And so I do have kind of an affinity for the neighborhood.
oh, I get it.
I'm certainly willing for my vote to give you a shot.
I appreciate it.
I'm impressed with your zeal. But I do think that this is a problem that our comprehensive plan that's being worked on right now, we need some way to deal with this. Because these things become blights on neighborhoods, and they're just not conducive to want to make people buy a home there.
Right.
You know what I mean? If it gets like
Well,
that.
I mean, you know, one time I'm friends with Rick, who owned it quite a while back, and he had at one point put up like a metal garage out there. I mean, if it's bad, they send a letter, 10 days you have just, so, you know, if it's bad, you know, send a letter, I'm sure that it, but I don't see it happening because I don't
I
plan
don't
to
see
get
it
rid of
happening
anytime
to you
soon.
either. And I'll stop by the place every once in a while.
Yeah, you get a friends and family discount.
Thank you.
For your support.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know, you got one entrance and one exit on Brown Street as well as on 29th Street. That's not a very big lot to have more than how many cars?
13 cars would be, you know, we considered the thought of opening up the back for more, or at least for maybe, you know, detailing type of thing, because there's plenty of room in the back. But even with the room we have, 13 cars, I mean, I don't even plan on opening an Ed Martin or anything, you know. So, you know, it's a decent little spot, for, and you know, for something like that. We would try to put some nice ones out there, and you know, when it comes to more space, we was thinking about kind of in the back where they tore our fence down, we had to fix it. We were thinking about making a slide fence that would allow for people to pull in for detailing, you know, and kind of expand it a little bit more versatily. And we'll do all the work ourselves in there.
How do you handle the deal when you fix the car and the person can't pay for it?
Well, they usually pay after it's done, and we've only one time, you know, luckily dealt with a situation like that, and that's why the fence is messed up. So we did some work on a car, they paid a deposit, we did a significant amount of work, it was a box truck. So then they said they'll bring the money, and then they never came the next day, didn't answer. So we ended up putting it in the back, because they had a tow shop, you know. Well, they ended up ripping up the fence, towing it out. For the most part, we've never dealt with any problems like that.
Some places do.
Yeah, and you know, that being said, usually we never get ourselves so deep to where it's, you know, you do 1,000 jobs and one person in 10 years like runs off, like what are you gonna do? But you could get a, what's it called, mechanics lien on something. But I mean, you know, typically Anderson's not a big city, it's almost like a neighborhood if you ask me, and we deal with people all the time and never had problems with it, so
I understand.
we can deal with it as a case-by-case scenario.
So if you start using behind your store, will you put a fence? Is the fence back up?
It's already up. It just
Okay.
doesn't, like, we're talking about making it not an eyesore. Potentially the repairs are just not
Good.
they're just, you know. But I was thinking about making it electric and it'll look a little better. But yeah, I mean, we've already taken care of that. And, you know, I'm not 100% convinced that's what we'll do, but it is an option.
But you're willing to take the risk and try.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, there's a lot out there for somebody willing to take a shot.
Thank you.
Madam President. First, the tanks.
The tanks have been removed quite some time. Here's the phase 1 that we had. And then they said that we didn't even need a phase 2. You know, we was going to get to phase 1 and the phase 2. They had the EPA come out, or the ESA, 2015. It was resolved. The owner before, Rick Brown, had taken it over. They actually were part of the city and even government and some type of politics, I'm not sure. And so they ended up they wanted to get out of it. They pretty much just fixed it up, gave it to Rick after years of renting, and then he sold it to me. So it is all under control as far as the gas tank situation. It's part of our contract deal that we have. It's with the city. They have like the paperwork and documentation. I don't know exactly what the files are, but it was a big part of my lawyer whenever we did the deal to make sure that was, you know, nothing that was hanging over our head like an axe.
That's right. I remember when they did.
Yeah, that's all I got, Mayor.
Councilwoman Harless has a question. It's my turn, Joe. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for coming in. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate that. I appreciate what you have to say.
Thank you.
It sounds like you've got some passion behind your drive there, and where
Absolutely.
you're going with it. Mr. Stiers, my question's for you. Should this gentleman seek any kind of financing, will it be required that it be zoned for business?
Sure.
Okay. That's all I needed.
Madam President,
Yes.
I have a few questions. Mr. Hubbard, did you buy this property again on contract? Or?
Well, and it'll be paid off 6 years. So I've already owned it for almost 4.
Okay.
Rick's okay with it.
It's not partners with you at all,
No,
correct?
no, and we have that down at the recorder's office, and by the next meeting, if you need to bring that, I had an attorney, Wesley Garris, brought up all the paperwork, so it's not just like a handshake deal. It was actually done legitimately through my attorney, as well as recorded with the recorders.
The reason I ask that is the previous, one of the owners was really defiant in taking care of that property.
Are you talking about Bob?
I'm not sure
Not
which
sure.
one it was.
Yeah.
I had somebody say something to me that he'd received letters from the city and would not respond or do what he was supposed to do. That's
I
what
can't
I'm
imagine
concerned.
that being Rick.
I just want that gentleman to be part of this.
Now that gentleman actually has passed away several years back. But I've seen people in the, I know it wasn't, there was a hail dent repair, it definitely wasn't them. The only person I could think was a tire shop at one point. And you know, at that point, I think there was just, at the highlight of, you know, maybe when Rick owned it, there were quite a bit of cars out of there, but that's not gonna happen with me. As well as Defiant, you know, not me, I don't know. You send me a letter, you know, you personally know me, so, you know, you come by, give me a scary letter, I'm gonna be the first to respond.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions from the audience? Of course,
You still live in Fishers?
Mm-hmm.
Can I speak? So, if you don't mind, just ask me that real quick, and then I can come to you in a little. That's pictures of how it looks now. So, environmentally, there's 2 55-gallon drums in the front of the building that's leaking all over the ground. The fence is all, it does not look like that. All right, so this young lady right here and myself and a few other people asked you not to vote on this. We asked you not to vote on it again. If you look at the very last page, Mr. Hubbard was, he was arrested in April for money laundering, narcotics, right across the street from that. He lives in Fishers. You know what? Stop, stop, stop. You know, they come to Anderson because everybody says yes. It's time to say no. So I'm asking you to say no.
You're allowed.
Oh, well, in response to that, that was a false arrest, and I actually have a civil rights attorney, and we're in the process of fighting that. That arrest was not a true arrest, and they released me without due process. There was no drugs. I don't even know why that happened. They won't release me the information for that case, even for my defense. So if I was arrested for that, I'd be in jail for that. So that was a mistake, and you know, and I actually have a civil rights claim against that. Now, as far as the oil, I don't know anything about that, but if there is any type of oil drum that's there,
It's on your front parking lot. There's 2 of them.
well, as far as oil and leaking, that we clean out a lot. So if there was anything left over, we do have like from the oil changes,
do
like
you want to see these pictures?
yeah, sure. But now, I'm not sure even those are oil, but I could get rid of those. Like now it'll be the first thing on my list because number one, if there's anything to say about that, I mentioned there was vandalism on the fence. And number 2, if there are oil drums, I'm not even sure they're oil and leaking. We could look, I can take pictures and bring them back, but I'll get rid of these. I'll call whoever I need to. I mean, I've cleaned up that whole lot. There's a couple of barrels there. I didn't put them there. When I was,
Respond to the pictures for me.
yeah, so,
Your office.
okay, so Number one, the fence. I just explained how there was someone who didn't pay me, ripped down the fence, and then towed out. This is the back here, around the back. So this right here is a picture of the fence. We actually put it up, but I think that there was some people living in the back that actually got kicked out, and they peeled at the door. I think they ripped the fence down to get in. Maybe again, they actually were. They called the police. The new owner had called the police to have them removed because they were actually squatting in the lot behind us. So we put up that fence several times. If you go there now, I don't know if they pulled it back down again, but we put that fence up several times. In addition, you've heard my claim to fix the fence. That's one of the things, the main things we want to make look better. So the lawnmower, the kids next door that actually moved in, they pulled out because I said they could have it to put up the fence back, where their cousin or whoever it was took it down. So they even have, if they haven't towed that off, I told them to tow it off. I don't know about.
It's probably not your property, it's the property.
No, you need to-
Yeah, the property behind it is where all of the people.
You need to back it line.
The property, the one where the shed's falling down and everything, again, trying to clean up the neighborhood, that's property behind, I wasn't sure where it stopped.
So it's not his property.
But it's probably not his property, it's just an eyesore.
Yeah.
But the rest of them I took yesterday, so the drums and everything is still there.
This looks like, excuse me, Matt, this looks like old stainage in this photo. It doesn't look like new oil spill to me. It looks like it's been sitting there, so how do we know?
It just
that
happens,
this
the
is
drums
the-
are sitting on it, Tiffany, and you just, environmentally, you can't have drums sitting out. They're supposed to be in a container,
Well,
you
wait,
know.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, it doesn't look like it's new stuff that's been put there. It looks like something that's been there for a long time. I'm not even certain that this gentleman is responsible for
No,
this.
those were there when 3 years ago, when I got the place, those were sitting there. I'm not sure they're oil, or honestly, that's a very valid claim. Like, you don't want something leaking into the ground. But had I literally even thought of it, like, I'm glad he brought it to my attention. I don't even know who we call, but I'll have the thing called off just ASAP, like, I honestly have never given those a thought. We cleaned up that place left and right, cleaned it up, lawn work and everything. The fence has been a problem, and these barrels, I don't know what to tell you, but I can bring pictures, I can email you some pictures around. We could have somebody come out and do an assessment, I'll do whatever it takes. But I didn't maliciously put these here. I really, not to say I had no knowledge of them there, but it didn't even cross my mind about that. There was all kinds of crap we cleaned up. Like, you wouldn't believe what we've had to haul out of there. And then back, you didn't see how much crap was there. Torn down this, and it was just a nightmare. If we go there now, it probably doesn't look beautiful, but if you would have seen the before pictures, you'd be thanking me for what I'm doing for over there.
Did you have a?
Oh.
Good evening, Council. Sherilyn Horning, 46016. You may remember I was up here last month for the mere fact of when Mr. Stiers was reading through the information last month. He clearly stated that this rezoning is in conflict with the current comp plan. I noticed he did not repeat that line tonight. And so I guess I would like to ask for clarity for the group that's here tonight. Is this rezoning in compliance with the current comp plan that the City of Anderson holds?
I clearly stated, yes, it is in conflict.
Is
It's
that
traditional residential, so obviously it's a commercial business, has been for 60 years. So,
So it's almost making it, maybe that's why it's called non-conforming, said non-conforming
Okay.
tonight.
In the first one, he clearly acknowledged that it was okay with the comp plan, and then in this one, he left that statement out, which he had said last month.
Yeah, he said non-
Non-compliance, absolutely, non-compliance, but he did not reference the current comp plan when he read this one, which he did last month.
it's in my notes, it's right here, I read
Okay.
right off the
Okay.
page.
Okay, okay. It's
Mr. Stiers, I am interested in process here.
Yeah.
Then listen, please.
Also, make sure you're respectful to.
Oh, sure.
Thank you, President Cole, appreciate that. So my question would be about process. And so once again, if we're asked, if someone is coming before the council to ask for rezoning and it doesn't match our current comp plan, which last month we were informed, hopefully by April there might be a current one, and then this would be in compliance, my request would be that the council waits until then, that you don't pass it tonight. Sounds like there's maybe some other concerns that I don't have any knowledge about how to address. But I would ask the council not to pass it, not with disrespect to this owner who's done a lot of work on this property. I don't live too far from here, so I appreciate every attempt to increase the value and the ways that our neighborhoods function. But if this is not with our current comp plan, I would request the council votes no.
Anybody else?
Tim? My thought of our previous meetings, by changing this to the correct zone, this is also eliminating the presence of all those cars being back on that parking lot. Is that correct? And then the zoning
chapter like
only
he
allows
has,
so
yes.
many cars, correct?
Correct.
And that would stop them turning it into a junkyard.
Correct.
And that, if we change this ordinance to allow it being changed to business, stops that. from
Yeah,
happening.
wouldn't be allowed to do outside storage. We passed legislation a year ago requiring any outside storage to have a special exception, which means going before the Board of Zoning Appeals, which he's already going to have to do in order to get a used car lot on the site. Even then, you'd be limited on the number of cars you can have there. You're limited 1 car per 1,000 square feet of lot area. I think there was 13,000 square feet. So that's where the 13 figure came from, for the number of cars he would have for his used car lot.
And that's including his vehicle.
That would be the owner's vehicle. That would be a place for a customer to park their car and other employees at the car lot.
Thank you.
Subtracted from the 13, so yeah, he's going to have to watch his inventory carefully.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Question?
Counselor Turner?
Yes.
Counselor Harless?
Yes.
Counselor Landers?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Newman?
Young man, I had every intent of coming in here and voting no. But on your mannerisms and everything else, I've gone to yes.
Thank you so much. That means everything.
President Pro Tem Cole?
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
One more reading. Yep. Councilman Turner? The third reading.
Third reading.
Yes.
Councilman Dalton, I'd like to suspend the rules.
This has been, no, we already, this is only second reading.
I'd like to recognize it to be presented again for the third reading.
I second that.
Ordinance 35-24, an ordinance amending ordinance 1141, ordinance number 2439, and ordinance number 39-63 of the city of Anderson, Madison County, Indiana, with respect to a change in the zone map as to certain real estate within the city of Anderson as herein particularly described. This is 224 West 29th Street.
The only thing I would add would be what I said earlier. If he is successful in getting third and final reading, his next step would be to file site plan, landscaping, lighting, signage, elevation drawings, to go before a Board of Zoning Appeals at one of their monthly meetings to get approval for a special exception for a car lot. The area that is disturbed, where the cars are sitting on crushed stone, we had a discussion about this last month. Whether you would be willing to, you're going to be required to, so I wanted to make sure you were aware of it. But where there's crushed stone, that needs to be a hard surface. It's got to be a dust-free surface, asphalt, concrete, either one. Is that something you're able to step up and do?
Yeah, the
If
black
you,
top
if you
on
would
it.
get approval for a car lot.
Correct.
Questions, counselors?
I have a question. Have you ever owned a used car lot before, sir?
Well, no, but I have a few friends that would. buy cars and sell them a little bit here and there, so I have some experience with buying and selling cars. And I do have a friend that he has a floor plan with a couple of companies, and once we get approval, I have a couple of investors that have experience in going to auctions and that work with car dealerships to kind of help to kind of get started with it, so to speak. But it's not just out in the field for me. I've sold cars for years, you know, going to auctions, Straw Town, and, you know, so I know it's not the exact same, but I've built my life up trying to come close to the next step, and it's not easy to get a car lot. So, you know, I'm trying to take the necessary steps here.
Thank you. Any other questions, councilors? From the audience?
Just for the record, ask you. So,
Make sure you say your name.
Randy Holland, Spring Hill Road, the most dangerous hill in Anderson, not salted or plowed, that's us. So, I'm asking you one more time, table it. Young man, he says he was wrongfully arrested. He goes to court in about 3 weeks. The first, I think it's the 3rd or 4th of next month. Table it, find out the outcome of that, and then make that decision. Again, I'm asking you, it's time to say no, guys. Right down the road is a nice little house on the corner. To the west of it, this could be the same thing, all right? All it's going to take is a phase 2 and somebody willing to tear it down and rebuild a house. So again, for the record, asking you to say no or table it for a month.
I just want to say,
Say your name.
Nicole Kapuscinski, Spring Hill Road.
Spring Hill Road.
Yes, the most dangerous road in Anderson. I just want to say that I have known Mr. Hubbard, since middle school? Easy, okay. And he has owned and ran Treasure Point there across the street since, I don't know,
97 probably.
97? Okay, so I just want to say that I followed along with the story when he got in trouble, and I read both sides. I read the newspaper articles, and I really truly feel like that he wasn't guilty on that. And I know him to be a stand-up character. He's never done me wrong. When I would go in there to do things with him back in the day, I don't do systems now because I'm in my 40s and you just don't, whatever, do the bumping thing. But he had a good business plan then, and he's been able to keep his doors open since the 90s. And I would have to say I take everything else into consideration, but I really truly believe that he would do his best diligence to do whatever was asked of him. So with that, I'm done.
Thank you. But another thing, the charges that he said going to court, all of that, I believe this to be malicious prosecution, and it's not the charge he said. After I requested what should be legally my information, asking the arresting officer, asking for information about the warrant, they refused to do it. 9 months later, they then called me back to tell me that they're going to make new charges, not even the same charges. That, like, I know this sound bad. I have to live with the deal with it. I have an attorney to maintain my innocence. To me, this is a cover-up, and it's not dealing narcotics or cocaine or any of that. They know, even when they released me, they set bail, they released me without accepting the money. Just open the door. They released me not the proper way because they know they messed up. And it wasn't until I called asking for information, and my civil rights lawyer told me, well, they won't tell us an arresting officer. My civil rights lawyer was told there wasn't an arrest. And so I only called to get the information, and that's when they called me back a few days later saying that they were going to make new charges, a lesser charge, which was, to me, it's malicious prosecution, and it's just a further cover-up. I mean, I'm not going to use the word
Well, we're
corruption.
deciding on a zoning here today.
Right,
We're not-
but they brought that up going to court. I mean, it's not what they said. There's no, so, you know, I don't know. I feel upset that, you know, being accused in general, and you're innocent until proven guilty, and there are a lot of outlying aspects of
Yeah,
this.
all right. No questions been called.
Counselor Turner.
Yes.
Counselor Harless.
Yes.
Counselor Landers.
Yes.
Counselor Graham.
Yes.
Counselor Newman.
Yes.
President Pro Tem Cole.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck with Board of Zoning.
Thanks so much.